Hello everybody, welcome to my Flosstube. My name is Amy. I go by Fiber Arts Amy here and on Instagram. I'm coming to you today with a regular Flosstube. I don't remember which number. It'll be written down below. Frey is here to join me. She just came to hang out. It's been a while since I did a regular Flosstube. I have a lot of like varied things to show you. I actually came back from the retreat in October and wasn't feeling well, and I didn't stitch for like 3 weeks. So I actually haven't been doing that much stitching, and I've kind of been jumping around, kind of doing some things to try to like kind of be kind to my stitchy bug and maybe let it like rekindle on its own. And it's definitely getting there. Also struggling to find time to do the stitching that I want to do. But that's okay. Anyway, I've got a lot of stuff to show you. There's a lot of really great retreat recap videos out there. I'm not going to like go, back through everything that happened at the retreat, other than to say that it was amazing. I feel honored to have been a part of it, to have gotten to meet and spend time with so many wonderful stitchers. It's a wonderful experience, and I couldn't be more grateful for it. Autumn Lane Stitchery was amazing. They were very generous with their time, and also, again, tons of great videos out there. Kelly Pages and Stitches took some amazing videos. I really suggest going and checking out her channel. Because like some of the Q&A and the stuff like that with Autumn Lane is up on her channel. And I'll link that down below. Is that it? I'll talk about some oak crown stuff and some business stuff at the end, because I know not everyone's here for that. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna jump in and show you guys what I've been working on. The last couple weeks I have been working quite a bit more on my Princess and the Dragon. I'm not gonna take it out of the Q-snaps. Are you guys sick of seeing this yet? Look, my dragon actually looks like a dragon now. I'm so happy with him. Look at how good he is. So I've finished this background scene. Look how amazing it is. Like when you're stitching it, it's just like a million shades of like green and gray. And it's like, how is this gonna look like anything? But then it really does. Like you can see the different textures of the varied landscapes behind the dragon leading up to the castle. It's amazing. The dragon's getting really filled in. I've done some of this grass. Haven't really done much in the princess since I came back, but yeah, a lot here, and especially in the dragon and that scene behind him. So making good progress. It probably won't be done by the end of the year, but I gotta think it won't be too far after that, right? Right? Oh, sorry, I just knocked into you. Okay, so something else, I gotta take this out of Q-snap because you guys have to see this. Is there a needle in here? Let me take the needle out. Okay, so while I was at the retreat, I was sitting there trying to like get some rest at the table one day, and saw that on eBay there was something up. There was a piece up that was being advertised as a fully stitched fairy moon, and I think it was for like $35. Now, it obviously wasn't fully stitched. Well, obvious to me, right? Because I'm probably to a lot of you, since I'm familiar with the piece. But it looked like it was almost wow, almost fully stitched. I have a picture of Fairy Moon, I think. Oh, I didn't show you what Princess and the Dragon is supposed to look like. This is what it should look like when it's finished. See, my dragon's looking so good. Looks so good. So this quote fully stitched fairy moon was up. This is what fairy moon looks like. It's is it number 2? Is it the second Mirabilia? I feel like this is the one that doesn't have a number on it. Yeah, it doesn't. I want to say it's like number 2. Anyway. It was up as a fully stitched. Now, it was obviously missing its beads, so I've done a little work. I started putting beads in to her hair, and I've started the moon. So the piece was missing the moon. This doesn't have as much of a margin as I would like, but it's got enough. She needs her moon, and she needs to be beaded. And then the wand is done in blending filament, and so it needs that put in. That's all it needs. And I love beading. So I sat there and I was like, oh my gosh, can you believe this thing is up and it's so beautiful? And I love the fabric it's on. It's a standard fabric, but it is absolutely beautiful. Anyway, I ended up snapping it up. And I was playing with this some, like working on getting my stitching mojo back. Honestly, putting those few beads in the hair really helped, because I do love beading so much. I just think it's beautiful. I mean, it's beautifully stitched, really beautifully stitched. I think it's on a 32 count. It's a standard swagger of some sort. It's beautiful. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. One of the things I'm working on. I'm just gonna put in that moon and get her beaded. I did wash her. Oh, that was something I wanted to talk about, because this was like 2 weeks ago I washed this, so I almost forgot. Not only hand-dyed fabrics are not the only fabrics that will bleed. This bled like crazy when I washed it. I got kind of lucky. So just because something bleeds doesn't necessarily mean that the dye is going to reattach to the threads. That should be a concern whenever you are washing something, because of course that can happen. As far as I can tell, it did not happen here. As soon as I saw how much dye was coming out in the water, I went and grabbed color catchers and put it in the wash water. And I went through lots and lots of rinses to try to get as much. I didn't actually get all the dye out. It was still losing dye. Even when, I'm trying to give you something pretty to look at. It was still losing dye even when I decided I was done rinsing it. But I was just rinsing it in like a dish pan of clean water with a little bit of dish soap. The color catchers really helped. I mean, the color catchers turned like tealy blue really bad. But it doesn't seem to have deposited on her at all, on the stitching at all. So I got lucky, but I guess just a friendly reminder. I know we tend to all know to be extra careful with our hand-dyed fabrics, but you need to be careful with commercially dyed fabrics sometimes as well. I know I can get kind of lazy about it, in part because quilting cottons these days, I never have a problem with quilting cottons bleeding. The dyes they use now, or the inks really, because they're printed, are so good that I'm trying to think, but I can't think of a time I've had a quilt shop quality quilting cotton bleed. Not that it can't happen. Batiks will do it, but I'm just so used to like being like, oh, commercially dyed stuff is color fast. That was not. So just be careful. Something else this is actually what I leaned into when my stitching bug was really dead, and I was trying, aside from the beading, trying to just like do something little to be stitching some. I stitched this little bag. This is a Shepherd's Bush. They do, they have several of these bag kits. I don't know, you can find them here and there. If you, like, I will periodically like Google and see if I can find any kits. Often I ended up ordering them from like kind of random LNSs across the country that maybe I've never heard from before, but they happen to have a kit on their website that I haven't done before. You can also call Shepherd's Bush. That's probably where you're going to get your best selection. But with Shepherd's Bush, like their actual store, For those of you who aren't lucky enough to live near it, because I don't, I think you have to actually call them. When I've been on their website, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe everything, like you can shop, like you can click on things and see what they have, but everything says like call to order or like call for price or something. I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't like making phone calls. I really don't love it. So, I guess if I wanted something badly enough, I would, but I avoid it when I can. So anyway, I had picked this up a while ago from, I don't know, some random shop. This fabric this reminds me of like a Blackbird Designs fabric, but it's just a fun little zippy pouch. I love ticking very, very much. So I love these little bags. They have several of them. It's just a simple little bag, and the kit came with everything. Came with the flosses, the beads. I don't know. I don't think it came with a needle, although it may have. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, it was just fun. I love shepherd's bush. I love the little kits and things. I love the little stitchable objects that they make. I'm like, there's stuff everywhere. While I'm talking about shepherd's bush, I'll show you this. So this, I actually put the beads on after I came back, or the buttons on after I came back from the retreat, but I had finished the stitching quite some time ago. This is one of the, it's full of stuff. This is one of the, so these bags are made by It's So Emma. You can get them at a lot of LNSs, but it's a fat quarter shop product. It's So Emma, my sheep's head keeps falling. I have to do something about that. It's So Emma is a division of Fat Quarter Shop. But if you guys have been on my channel before, you might remember I love these bags. I love making these stitchable bags. And then I don't love keeping my cross stitch in them because of the holes. Like to me, it kind of defeats the purpose because dirt can get in, like dirt and crud and crumbs and whatever. And often my project bags are on the floor, or they're tossed around a bed, or there's kids around. There's all, who knows? Stuff can happen to it. I love stitching these. This is done with pearl cotton. I also have some I'm working on using my floss, my wool floss that I do for Oak Crown Studios, and that also works great on these. But anyway, I had a lot of fun doing this. I love sheep. I'm a knitter, spinner. I love all those things. Because it's in here, I'll show you real quick. I put a EPP project in here that I have kitted up. I haven't started it yet, but the quilt is called 4 O'Clock in Peru from Jen Kingwell. I've got the paper pieces. I'll show this on a quilting video at some point. And I have fabric to do that project with. So this is the kind of thing that I use these bags for. Let's see if I can get all this back in here. Quilting stuff, I guess I'm far less concerned about it getting dirty and whatnot. My quilts, when they're done, get thrown in the wash and used and thrown around and thrown on the ground for picnics. Most of my quilts I'm happy to have thrown on the ground for picnics. Nothing makes me happier than seeing my kids like curl up in one of my quilts. We had we've had some chilly days now in Pittsburgh, and it was chilly over the weekend, and we had a fire going, and my kids kept coming in here and grabbing quilts off the chairs and like laying them on the ground and then curling up in front of the fire. Just made me so happy. I can't imagine being fussy and being like, oh no, you might hurt the quilt. No, it just makes me so happy to see them using and loving the things that I made. It brings me a lot of joy. Okay, so while I have this here, Kelly, also Kelly from Pages and Stitches, who I mentioned earlier. So she's doing, I'm going to forget the hashtag. I'll look up the hashtag and try to write it below. And admittedly, I haven't done a good job participating yet, but I did get the project out. They're doing a geisha sale. She and, I'm blanking on her name, but they're running a geisha sale. any geisha works. And I'm taking it as an opportunity to get out my Miss Cherry Blossom. I apologize, I do not have the cover picture in my bag, so I just have a photocopy of the chart. Oh my God, it's so good. Oh, like just getting, I mean, I barely have any done, but just getting it out, it's so beautiful. I really need to, oh, I need to get back to this. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna work on to participate in their Geisha SAL. Again, it's Miss Cherry Blossom from Mirabilia. I just love it. She's so good. I haven't worked on her in ages, and this is just a standard Wishelt. I do not mind Wishelt fabric at all. There's certain times I would choose not to use it. If I have to do a lot of carrying of thread, I won't use it just because it is much more see-through. You can see it there. It is much more see-through than Wishelt, or than Zweigart, excuse me. But if I don't have to do a lot of carrying, I don't mind. And if they have the color that I want, I'm happy to use Wishelt. So anyway, that is, I got it all kitted up. The beads. But if you have a geisha project, there's so many great geishas out there. And Kelly did a whole video where she gave some ideas for great geishas. There's whole books of geisha patterns. Joan Elliott has geisha patterns. There's some amazing kits out there. There's a Design Works one that I've seen several people work on, including Kelly. I hope I'm not making that up. That's just stunning. Anyway, there's some amazing geisha patterns out there. The Chronics for it. All these purples and pinks. They're just, it's beautiful. And anyway, I'd be thrilled, I'm sure they'd be thrilled to have more people join. So if you got a geisha pattern, please join in. I have this right next to me and I totally forgot to show you. So after I finished, sorry I'm jumping all over the place today. My daughter's been homesick for a couple of days. Since I got home from the retreat, really, the last month has been just, it's been like a marathon of medical appointments. Not just for me, but like for my kids. And it's just, and like like everything's fine, right? But just, you know, 3 kids and me. Like dentist appointments, getting fillings done because some kids don't brush their teeth so great. Just follow-ups with routine specialists and things. Anyway, it's just been a lot. After I finished this, and I just really wasn't feeling, like up to jumping into a big project. I think that's really where my stitchy bug was. Like it was really down and stitching was feeling really overwhelming. So I picked up this other whip that I have several like tiny little whips that tend to stay on my my little end table that's you can't see the table because it's covered in stuff. I picked this one up because it is Christmas. You know, I've been thinking about it a lot lately, and I'm really not that much of a seasonal stitcher. I love the look of a lot of seasonal pieces, but I just tend not to do a lot myself. But anyway, it's tiny, it's cute. I have the whole kit. I want to say I got this from the first Jingle Ball that Stephanie Webb does from Lindy Stitches. Anyway, it's been sitting next to me. I just went ahead and picked it up and got back to work on it. I've done part of that basket at the bottom, and I've started the greenery. But the kit came with like everything you need. Let me see. Finishing fabric and twine and button and or charm and whatnot. I just need to finish it. Anyway, I don't know if it'll be done for this Christmas, but it's something like when I'm kind of like, I don't know what to work on. That's when I tend to pick up something little that's right there. So that's the purpose of that. There's so much sitting here. All right, I'm gonna see. There's just so much. Okay, I got in a full coverage mood the other day. What was I doing? the other day, it was like a week ago. I think I finally got to watch Sarah Stitch and Mommy's updated whip parade for this year. And there's a dime in my project bag. Oh, that's all about. Where's my photo? Oh, I didn't grab the photo. I bet it's just still in my purse. I feel bad I'm showing you without the photo. So this is a really small start on a full coverage. I have a full coverage. It's just Winnie the Pooh with a honey pot. It's a really small full coverage. Like, I think it's only like 200 stitches by 200 stitches or something like that. Like, it's really small. But it's got like bright, cheerful colors in it. And I was leaving the house the other day, and I knew I'd be sitting in an office just waiting for like an hour. And I didn't feel like packing like a little thing. I don't know. I was like, let's see how doing full coverage out of the house goes, right? I've got Pattern Keeper. This, because it's a relatively small full coverage piece, I don't have like quite as many colors. It just doesn't take up as much space. So yeah, anyway, I put in, I don't remember. I think I got in like over 100 stitches just sitting there. You know, I played on my phone part of the time, and part of the time I was stitching. So not much to see, but I was really happy to kind of see that, like, oh yeah, this actually, like, maybe a full coverage will work as a travel piece. Because it did. It worked great. And this is just a project bag that I made. I used to show my project bags more, but some of you might remember that this is kind of one of my favorite kind of styles of project bags. These just small little tote bags. I've made dozens of them. Okay, so this is the bag I took to the retreat. Full of projects to work on. I talked about this a little bit in my Teresa Wensler video that I posted most recently. I had pulled out a Teresa Wensler, and it just sat on the retreat table for like 2 days without getting any stitches put in on it. I didn't bring Fantasy Sampler to show you. I did put a few stitches in on Fantasy Sampler while we were there. But anyway, this is the bag. I'm going to show you what I worked on. Hopefully everything else is still in here, but it may not be. So this I actually didn't work on at the retreat. I worked on it beforehand. I don't have a cover page, but I can tell you what the design is. Thinking that it was the perfect retreat piece and that I would work on it at the retreat. This is Sleeping Beauty by Laura Ramola, the Little Stitcher. I'm sorry, I don't have the cover page. This is one that I have digitally, so I just printed it off. So it's just a Sleeping Beauty piece. It's got, so you can see her hair is started. I might have changed, well, I changed all the flosses. I don't remember what color her hair is charted as. It's a beautiful piece, again, that I've barely started. I have a ton of, I really love Sleeping Beauty. Really, really love it, that story. I have a lot of Be Stitch Me silks. I used to be in the club. So I put together my own conversion and palette to do this piece using the Be Stitch Me silks. So that's what I'm working on. This bag I love. It's technically a knitting bag, Dogwood Knits. It's just this lovely linen and canvas fabric with ticking inside. I believe they're on Etsy. But anyway, yeah, I haven't gotten a ton done. I'm stitching it with 1 strand over 2 and using the sewing method and enjoying it. It deserves a lot more attention than it has been getting. This is a standard fabric. I don't know the color, unfortunately. Wondering if it's Winter Moon, which is one that I really like. So that didn't actually get worked on at the retreat. I worked on it some before the retreat. Okay, this is Nah, I didn't work on that. So little actually got worked on. So we, again, if you've been around here for a while, you might remember I cross-stitched, at my mother-in-law's request, I cross-stitched a birth sampler for my daughter, or of my daughter for my mother-in-law. I stitched, it was technically one of the little stitches, but the biggest one. I stitched a Mirabilia basically for the birth sampler, and I put my daughter's details at the bottom, and it was beautiful, and my mother-in-law has lost it, and I think it's probably in the trash somewhere, and I'm heartbroken. But it's okay. It's not okay, but like it's okay. My mother-in-law is not, she is stitch worthy. Like it's awful that she lost it. But she used to be a cross stitcher herself. She totally gets it. She's mortified that the thing's gone. She's not someone who I would stop, making things for. Anyway, she would really love to have a birth sampler for my daughter. She has them for my sons. She'd like to complete the set. Anyway, I have started this one. This is also, Little Stitches. This is a kit. I think my mom saw this in a cross stitch shop and picked it up for me. Maybe? I don't know. This was ages ago. No, she couldn't have. I must have bought this. Because this is from, I don't know if they're still there. The Needler was or is a cross stitch store in Lexington, South Carolina, right near where I used to live. And it cost me $20.60. But anyway, so I'm not doing as big of a one this time is kind of my point. I'm doing something small. But it's still, you know, it's still by Nora. It came with this opalescent Aida fabric, which I'm going to use. Nothing against Aida. I just don't usually stitch on it. But it came with a kit and it's really beautiful. So I'm going to do that. It came with all the, oh, I don't want to show the chart, but it came with like all the floss with the really old labels on it. I won't use that silver. I'll sub in a Krynic or a Petite Treasure braid. But anyway, tiny, tiny start. I only did a little bit of the skin, but it started. So I'm happy about that because I was thinking about doing this for a long time. And then when I finally decided, like, yes, I'm going to stitch this. I'm just glad to have gotten it going. Like getting started is, like if I don't start, it's not going to get finished, right? So at least it started now. I feel like I have got to be missing things that I started, but okay. So this also got started at the retreat. Let me see if I have a cover page. I was planning on starting Sakura from Autumn Lane. Ugh, I did not print cover page. I apologize. So Sakura is, I have Portal Hag in here too. So Sakura is a geisha from Autumn Lane Stitchery. It's absolutely beautiful. And I had plans to stitch it mini. I was going to stitch it tiny. Well, I have a tendency, now that I have like the dyeing business, fabrics don't always come out right? Like sometimes they just don't. Sometimes there's dye spots on them, or dye doesn't take in an area, or like something weird happens, whatever. So I have like fabrics that aren't quite perfect that I don't send out. And I have a tendency to like pull from those to stitch on myself. I apologize, you can hear the dishwasher. But then sometimes that's just not fun. Like I don't want to always stitch on like something will come out and it'll be like, oh, I can't send that out. It's not quite perfect. I should find something to stitch on it myself. But then that like narrows my choices for what I'm stitching on, and it's just not always fun. And I shouldn't do it, but It's like an instinct I have, right? So I had pulled a fabric to stitch Sakura on, and I pulled it out of the retreat, and I was just like, ugh. And I know I had pulled it out because it was an imperfect fabric, and so I was like, well, I'll just stitch on it myself instead of selling it. But I just like, ugh, I just wasn't loving it. So I traded. Basically, I went right over to my fabric booth. I put the fabric I was selling fabrics at the booth that were imperfect for a discount. So I put it in as a discounted fabric and picked up something else. So this is 40 count Clear Skies, very wrinkly. And I got Sakura started, barely got it started. But I'm stitching this over 2 using 1 strand on 40 count. So it's a very tiny start, but started. And I had fun. So Sunday, so the retreat runs Thursday through Saturday. A lot of people weren't leaving until later in the afternoon on Sunday. So I actually spent a good bit of time in the lobby, getting to spend some time with some wonderful stitchers and just hanging out and doing some stitching in the lobby on Sunday. And that was really fun. So that is something I've been working on. I'm going to show you this just because I don't remember. Here, I'm going to take this out of here too. I don't remember if, I think I've made more progress since I showed you last. This is an embroidery project. This is this embroidered heart. You turn it into like a pillow. It's got a pocket in the back. You can hang it. I'm just still working away on it, but I think I've made progress since I showed you last. So I finished all the green. I think most of the browns. Working on the blue. Instead of filling in the heart, I put my initial there. You might be able to hear my family moving around. I have no idea what time it is. But again, my daughter's home, sick for the day. All right, so I think that's that for that bag. Might take the stuff to the cabin with me soon. Okay. Here's another embroidery thing I started. So I bought this kind of on, oh, this is like the most pathetic start. I like Boffy threads, typically. And I saw these new kits and I wanted to give it a try. It's just an embroidery, it's an embroidery kit. But I thought that was really beautiful. Was looking for something kind of cheerful. I just remembered a project I forgot to bring down. Okay, well, I'll have to show you next time. You guys know, like, I work on so many things you don't actually get to see it all because I forget, right? I'll show you that one next time. Anyway, I have barely gotten this started. I do not have a ton of embroidery experience, but I'm interested in it and would like to have more experience. I mean, look at that tiny, tiny little start. So this is printed, and the idea is, my God, I've put in like 6 stitches. The point of this is that you don't have to fill in the whole thing. Like you stitch over the parts that you want to stitch over. There is like a stitch guide in there and stuff. And in the example, is it focusing? Not really. In the example, most of that, if not all of it, is covered in stitches. And that's kind of what I'd like to do. But it came with a pre-printed fabric, another fabric to put on the back. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. Obviously, I like just started it once. I haven't put that much progress in on it. You licking me. As I'm moving my arm, she's like licking the back of my arm and my elbow. Are you okay? I know you had to go out in the snow today. Was that traumatic for you? Okay. I think there's other things that I've forgotten to grab to show you. That's okay, they can wait. Okay, so this next one is Sarah the Stitch and Mommy's fault. She's been working on this. This is one of her oldest whips, I believe. She's been working on it for a long time. So it gets shown every year in her whip parades, and then also at other times when she has worked on it. And every time she shows it, I'm just like, oh, it's just so beautiful. Like, it's so calm and peaceful, and I just want to live there. Like, it's just so beautiful, right? It's called Chaplain's Garden. It's an old Janlin kit. You can probably get the chart too. Anyway, I went searching for it several weeks back and was like, well, let's just see. If there's like a cheap one on eBay, maybe I'll get it. Well, of course, there was a cheap one on eBay. So it showed up, and I haven't started it yet. It looked sealed, but when I opened it, the inside was really stinky. It was like, it was old house smell, right? Like it was, I don't know, kind of like a mix of perfume and mothballs or something. It wasn't smoky, but it was really stinky, especially the fabric. So I am guessing at this point that it had been opened and closed back up. So I ended up, it came with a 14 count Aida. I'm happy stitching on kit Aida. It doesn't typically bother me, even though my preference isn't for Aida. But in this case, I threw the Aida away. I actually was talking to some lovely ladies about it at the retreat. But I came home really being like, yeah, why, like, life's too short. Just throw away the Aida. It smells horrible, and grab something else. So this is a one of a kind fabric that I had dyed. It's a 32 count instead of a 28. Honestly, I just had my 32 count bin closer. And it's a perfect color, right? I want something that's good because the fabric shows through. The fabric shows through. And I have, that really looks so perfect there in the picture. I mean, that's the color I'm trying to match. So yeah, sometimes and I had a lot of these fabrics at the retreat. Sometimes I just throw colors together and I don't measure and I don't pay attention and I'm not keeping track. I'm just like playing and seeing what happens. And I had a bunch of those at the retreat. I actually had some fabrics called kitchen sink, and like there was some kitchen sink greens and some kitchen sink blues. May have just been greens and blues at the retreat. And what I mean by that is, and at some point I might put some up on the website, but website maintenance takes a lot of time if I'm trying to load like individual pieces of fabric. I just had a lot of like small amounts of blue dyes left. And I was just like, throw them all in the pot, see what happens. And I think at future retreats, if you're there, that's something you'll see from me from Oak Crown, is some of these kitchen sink fabrics. They're one of a kind. I can't reproduce them, but they're a way for me to use up like excess or like leftover dye, and see what happens, right? Make use of that dye and get some hopefully beautiful results. But anyway, so I'm going to use that blue. I still need to finish organizing the floss. The floss doesn't smell nearly as bad. The fabric seems to have been the primary, like it smells a little bit, but not bad. I'm using floss away bags, so I've already organized some of it. This is typically what I do with one of these kits. Also, I know some of you would rather saw off your left foot than have to organize a kit. I love doing it. I love going through every floss, putting them in their bags, labeling things. It makes me very happy. I find it very satisfying. So, yeah, I still need to finish doing that, and then I'm going to get this started. So that's on my plans. Thank you, Sarah, for the enabling. Makes me very happy. Okay. I don't remember if I've shown you guys this. So, have I? I don't know. I don't have the cover page. So, back up. I'm getting myself very confused. Okay. Chaplain has a friendship sampler. You can buy it off the Chaplain website as a digital copy. Maggie, oh, this is such a sad little pathetic start. Maggie and I are stitching the friendship sampler together. So we each are stitching half. Like I'll stitch half on this, she's stitching half on the other one. And then so this is Maggie's and I'm stitching half of it. And I'll give it back to her to stitch the other half. And she's stitching half on mine and then we'll give it back to me to stitch my half. So anyway, this is my very tiny kind of pathetic start that I need to get back on. My floss is very thick. It's a non-divisible woolen silk floss. It's thick and puffy. It's you would use it more like a pearl cotton, like a size 8 or 12 pearl cotton. You have some variability with how puffy your stitches are by how like tight you pull it. But anyway, that's what we're using to do the sampler on. And while I have this out, I'm going to talk about our new SAL. So Maggie and I, so much stuff. This is my floss, by the way. This is kind of messy because it's mine. This is my stash of my wool floss. Maggie actually went through, I gave her a ring of my floss, and she went through and chose the colors for the sampler. And this is what we're using. It's so soft and squishy. I love it. Anyway, this is what we're using. The color I'm using here on this is, I think, seaweed. Let me look. Yeah. Seaweed. There's like a floral border all the way around. So that's what we're doing now. Okay, so part of the reason I'm showing you this is because we are starting a chatelaine SAL. We're going to be stitching Water Garden together. I have a digital copy of the chart. I can't show you. I'm waiting for my paper copy of the chart to show up because I do like the paper versions. So here's the information about the SAL. And I already posted, I think, a video talking. I posted a video talking about that. But in case you weren't there, I'll give you the short parts version. The Water Garden SAL starts January 1st. Everyone's invited. Everyone. We basically picked one of the smallest mandalas. So they're like large mandala designs, but some of them are much larger than others. This is one of the smallest, and it has very few specialty materials required. It's mostly DMC, and there are some specialty stitches, but actually not very many. So this is a good, if you're somebody who's feeling overwhelmed by chatelaine, who maybe really likes them, would kind of like to try one, but feeling overwhelmed by the size, the cost, the complexity, this is a really good one to start with. It's still stunning. It's going to look amazing when it's done. It's going to have that wow factor of a chatelaine, but not quite as big, not nearly as expensive, and not as complicated. So I'd invite all of you to join us. There are some paper copies of the chart floating around, but you can always get a digital copy. I'll try to link it below, but from the Chaplain website. What else? European Cross Stitch does sell kits, but you can also kit it up yourself. Again, most of it's DMC, so you can just use your DMC stash or go get what you need, from Joann's or whatnot. And join us. It's going to be a blast. We're going to be dividing the pattern up into 12 parts. So there's like kind of a guideline to keep you on task if you want to be able to complete it in a year. I have started mine, although I did not start in the center. I started a little bit out from the center. I'm just trying, because I don't want to fall behind. So I'm trying to get a little bit done here in the tail end of 2024 so that I'm not playing, so I don't have quite as much pressure on me to keep up once the new year starts. So I've just gotten started. I'm actually stitching mine on a standard, is it Zweiger or Wischelt? It's a Wischelt. Oh, that's a Wischelt. A standard Wischelt fabric. I I believe it's called Mediterranean Sea. I had some of this and I love the color and I wanted something darker, so I ended up deciding just to go with this. Originally, I was going to use one of Oak Crown's fabrics. So here's the part that Oak Crown is doing. I have 4 colors, and all this information is out there. If you're interested, see my chatelaine video. That's just like 2 videos back on my channel, I think. There's 4 colors that I have basically agreed I can have out in time for you guys to start the SAL in January 2024 if you're in the US. You might wait a little bit longer if you live elsewhere. I'm going to do my best to get all those fabrics out before Christmas, basically. So they have time to get to you wherever you are. I'm going to start dyeing them when I come back from or when, you know, the holiday's over after Thanksgiving. Those colors are Friendship, Blush, Garden, and Mandala. Those are the 4 colors on my website if you want any of those, but you have to order them by November 30th if you want to receive it by January 1st. And again, by receive it, I mean I'm going to get it out by Christmas, so it has a week to travel to you. So if you're in Australia or something, I'll get it out by Christmas. I don't know how long it's going to take to get to Australia. But I have a bunch of the colors sitting here, so just real quick. This one's Friendship. I just called it Friendship because it's what I dyed for Maggie and I to stitch Friendship sampler on. This one is Garden. I have a full yard of Garden in my bag because this is what I'm going to stitch his eyes on the sparrow on. This is it's greens and blues, but like predominantly, to me, it reads predominantly green. All of these colors are relatively soft with not a ton of modeling. They're colors that to me, to my tastes, make good chatelaine fabrics because they're, I don't think they're going to compete with the stitching, was kind of my thinking. This is Blush, although this is an opalescent. Blush is the hardest one to photograph. It is a very soft pink, and you sometimes, I don't know if you can see, you have some yellows that show through. I'm stitching the Rice Stitch Workshop on it. You're just gonna have to trust me. It's a really soft pink, not peach, pink. I've put up floss toss photos on my Instagram of all these fabrics if you want to see them. And also I think I show them in more detail in that chatelaine video. That's a couple of videos back. Is that all I want to say about that? I don't want to like delve too much into that because I've already done that on another video. But I want to make sure that you guys know November 30th is that cutoff. Yeah, 30th. I'm like, wait, how many days does November have? November 30th. So if you want to order and do that with one of my fabrics, November 30th. Okay, also, you do not have to use my fabric. Use whatever fabric you like. But I guess I'm trying to like provide that as a service to people who wanted my input about what fabric to use. And I think those 4 colors give you a really good option. Mandala, which I don't have to show you right now, is a really soft blue. So you got like kind of a blue, a yellow, a green, and a pink. So hopefully there's something there to match most people's tastes. Okay, something else I pulled out and made the tiniest bit of progress on. Some of you might remember, I don't have the photos. I have this huge project bag from Whip It Up Project Bags. I developed this plan to stitch. So Nora Corbett has a 12 Days of Christmas set. I developed this plan to stitch all 12 together on one piece. They are all different sizes. They're all different sizes. They range from 60 by 60. Oh, there's like a 65 stitches by 104 most of them are 60 stitches wide, but then like one is 65 and one is 68. And then they're anywhere from 104 stitches tall to 121 stitches tall. Anyway, so I'm going to stitch them in a 4x3 grid. That's my plan. I went through, so I wouldn't be like buying multiples of supplies, you know, like if 5 of them all call for a certain water lily, I didn't want to be buying 5 skeins. I went through and made a supply list for all of them as a set with the water lilies, beads. Look at the little beads that are called for. Oh my goodness. Woo. The DMC, the Krynic, all of it. Anyway, I went through, I made my chart. I did some math. I tried to decide how much space I would like make each block take up. I hope this ends up looking good. I actually ordered, I think this is a fat half of Be Stitch Me fabric. I pulled this out the other day and I was like, I had like that many, like up to here, like just this many stitches in. And I was like, I don't know which way's up. I don't know which one that was that I started. I don't know what I'm doing. And I had to sit there, so I have a photocopy of all of them. And I had to sit there and try to figure out what I was on. But I figured it out, and I'm confident that I'm correct. So I have started 6 geese a-laying, hopefully in the right place on my fabric. It's I don't remember what the color is called, but it's like a soft gray opalescent. It's beautiful. And I ordered this before I started dyeing my own fabric. I put some more stitches in the other day. It got really cold and I was like feeling the mood. So I'd love to, you know, if I could get like one of them done this year, maybe I should, you know, I'm usually, you guys know if you've been around some, I am not into like scheduling or planning for my stitching, right? I'm very much a like, what am I in the mood for? But if I could commit to do like one a year, that makes it a 12-year project, but I've had projects last much longer. I have dozens of projects that have been around much longer than a dozen years. Maybe I should try to do that. Maybe I should try to like just do 6 geese a-laying this year. And the problem is always that I like to jump around. But still, if I could do one a year, I would have it done before I turned 60. I don't know. Maybe I'll do that. It feels like as soon as I decide I'm going to do something that's like the kiss of death, and it's not going to happen. But that's a maybe. And then I have some shopping to show you. I need to do a quilting video because I have so much quilting progress and shopping to show you guys. I might even film one today. I don't know. We'll see. So I haven't been buying a ton. I did, so I ordered some chatelaine stuff. European Cross Stitch had their sale. They usually have a sale, S-A-L-E, every year. I think usually one in April, and I thought it was October, but I guess it's November. I ordered the Venice mandala. So Deb, the traveling stocking stitcher, she had her Venice mandala as a whip at the retreat, and it just blew my mind. It's amazing. And immediately was like, okay, I have to stitch it sometime in my life. So I ordered Venice. It's not here yet. I ordered Water Garden. It's not here yet. I ordered the kit for Holland. So I had, I think a little while ago, I think 123 Stitch did a sale on their chatelaines, and I ordered these then. The Holland mandala is one that has been calling to me. A lot of people, like I see them stitching it, and the blues in real life and those flowers, it just really appeals to me. It's so beautiful. And my husband and I, many years ago, went on a river cruise in Europe. And fun story. Some of you have heard the story. I'm gonna tell you the story anyway because it's a fun story. You're all my friends, right? So we went on this river cruise. So what happened? This was before we had children. And I apologize if I've told this story here before, but I'm going to tell it again, even if I have. Where's my husband? My husband's texting me stuff. He can hear me talking. Okay, so here's what happened. We didn't have children yet. I had fertility issues, so we had been trying for a long time, and we're pretty stressed out. Things were not going well on the making a baby front. And my husband's grandmother had passed away that year, earlier in the year. And so for my mother-in-law, this was going to be her first Christmas without her mom. And she was really worried how she was going to handle that. My in-laws, their family all lives in the same area. They get together frequently throughout the year, especially for any holiday of any sort. And this was going to be the first year without her there. And so my mother-in-law came up with this plan of, she didn't want to be there. She didn't want to be there and experience Christmas at home without her mom for the first time. And, you know, it was going to be really upsetting. So they suggested we go on this river cruise through Europe. We were in our late 20s. Like, this is not something we would typically, A, be able to afford, or B, be able to, like, we wouldn't typically take off and do, like, a river cruise at Christmas, right, in our late 20s. Anyway, so it's this, like, I don't know, like 8 or 10 day adventure, right, through Europe, and seeing parts of Germany and France. And the reason I'm talking about this is because we had a day that we just, the boat just was going through Holland, and just the scenery and the windmills, and it was just beautiful. So this just, I don't know, every time I see this, it makes me think of that. The reason the story is so funny or fun, aside from the fact that I did come back pregnant, so that was great. But also, which is what my husband was just texting me. He's like, we made a baby on our river cruise. So this was at Christmas time. My husband and I were living in Fort Lauderdale, but a huge storm came through the East Coast, and my in-laws were in Virginia. And so my husband and I made it to the river cruise. We actually made it a little bit late because there was a lot of snarled air traffic and whatnot. So we missed like that first half a day or whatever, but we were able to get on the boat where you were supposed to get on the boat. We just didn't get to like see, I think it was part of Switzerland or whatever, wherever we flew into that day. My in-laws never made it because the air traffic out of DC was a disaster. So my husband and I ended up on this amazing river cruise for free at Christmas. It was wonderful. We got to see the Christmas markets. It was relaxed. It just was such a like break from our normal kind of stressful lives at the time. And it was wonderful and lovely. And that's why my oldest child gets teased for being a German baby, because that's where he came into being. Sorry if that was way too much information. Okay, anyway, the other one I got from 123 Stitch was Misty Morning Vineyard, which is just, again, it's one of those like classic, like, oh, my husband's texting me again. He texted me, brought home a baby. This is Misty Morning Vineyard. It's just one of those like classic, like I feel like you see it a lot. Like a lot of people have stitched this one or have worked on this one. And it's always kind of like in the back of my mind, like on my list, but I never kind of pull the trigger. Well, when 123 Stitch put them on sale, I went ahead and bought it. The paper copies of these patterns are getting harder and harder to find because they're not printed anymore. All of them that will ever exist are out there. Ella, Martina's daughter, Martina's the designer, Ella makes them all available digitally, but not as paper copies. So again, when there was a sale, I was like, let me go ahead and get those paper copies now. And then I picked up a few other things here recently. Oh, this one, did I buy it when I was at the retreat? Or did it get delivered while I was at the retreat? I'm going to pull it out. It's in this old packaging, just makes it a little bit hard to see. Pull it out so you can see the picture better. So this is a DMC kit called Robin Hood, the Ultimate Collection. That's beautiful. That's very like if Teresa Wensler and Nora Corbett had a baby. That's beautiful. I think that's very well done. Like the figures are so well done. This needs to be stitched. That would fit in very well in my house. So anyway, I just like kind of randomly saw this on eBay, and yeah, felt like I needed it. I don't think I've ever seen it before. I don't know when it was published. You don't really see DMC kits like this in the US. At least I don't. I don't know if I'm just unaware. But I'm a big fan. I think they sell these in the UK and in Europe, but not here. But I don't know if this is an old kit or a new kit or what. My husband has a thing for Highland cows. You know how I want to retire one day to a hobby farm and have woolly sheep? My husband's like, that's fine as long as we also have some Highland cows. So I saw this and was like, okay, I do a lot of stitching. My husband should get a Highland cow. And I love Scotland, so I got that. Christmas Fairy Tale Castle. It's a John Clayton kit. Those were just the vibes I was feeling that day. Look at how just warm and inviting. It's actually kind of how I'm feeling. This is like today's mood. We woke up to snow on the ground in Pittsburgh. It's snowing and raining. I got snowed on yesterday when I walked my dog after lunch. But like I'm enjoying it because like, you know, I had to go out this morning and run some errands and stuff, but still then I was just so happy to like come home and be nice and warm. We had fires over the weekend, last weekend. So yeah, this is just like my mood at the moment. She has a hard life. And then the last one, and this one just showed up. And again, this has gotta just be an old kit. This is called The Kiss. And that's beautiful. Okay, so I love this, but I really love this. So part of why I'm like, oh, that's kind of like Teresa Wensler-esque is I'm talking about like border. I mean, this is like, well, this reminds me more like what Teresa Wensler did with Millennium Sampler. It's called The Millennium. She's got two angels and like a column with space behind it. But this is also very like Teresa Wensler-y to me with the roses. It looks like a stained glass window, kind of an intricate border. I think that's beautiful. So no, not necessarily any specific plans to get those done soon, but I thought really kind of unique additions to my stash that might get used eventually, hopefully. Will bring me joy in my collection in the meantime. I think that's it. Oh, I was gonna, okay, Oak Crown update, just a little bit. Orders are going out. The mermaid boxes, I'm actually waiting for some packing materials that should be delivered today. And then hopefully those are all gonna go out this weekend. So if you're waiting for a mermaid box, hopefully it's coming soon. After they've all gone out, like the next time I do a Flosstube, I will show you guys what's in one. If you're like, ooh, mermaid box, what was that? That was a limited edition. It's not technically a box. It's coming in an envelope, but it was a limited edition a set of fabrics and some other fun goodies are going to be in there that I put together for customers. That one has sold out. They're all dyed. They're getting shipped here in a few days and over the weekend, hopefully, maybe early next week. But if you want to, if you're like, oh, I wish I hadn't missed that. What is my husband saying now? if you're like, oh, I wish I hadn't missed that, I have a fairy collection up on my website right now with an expected ship date of, I believe, March 1st. And this is really fun for me to do like collections of these that are like pre-ordered. They've got like a set ship date, and then I can kind of batch dye the colors once I cut off the orders. I don't know when I'm going to cut off the orders for the fairy boxes. I have a sort of idea in my mind for when I will cut those off. So if you want one, I would get in on it. They include 3 fat quarters of fabric. You get to choose your base fabric, and then some other curated goodies that I will include that are a surprise. Orders are going out. I've gotten a lot of inquiries recently about, hey, when's my order gonna ship? The short answer is I don't know. You know, the first maybe 6 months that I had Oak Crown Studios, I was able to be like much more on it, getting orders out quickly. My order quantities are just such that I can't do that. It's just not such a short turnaround anymore. What I typically do most days of the week, because there's some days I have to do other things other than actual dyeing, but I go to the oldest order. I see what color or colors I need to dye, and then I will dye. I will look up everyone who has that color ordered, and I will dye all of that color that I have ordered. So let's say somebody has ordered Stone's Throw. And I'm using Stone's Throw because I have some downstairs in the basement right now sitting in its dye. And it's, you know, it's not a bath, but sitting in its container dyeing. So I dyed all the Stone's Throw that anyone has ordered that has an open order with me, okay? That means that if somebody ordered, let's say somebody just ordered a fat quarter of Stone's Throw last week, they're going to get their order really fast because that's all they ordered. It happened to come up next in my queue of what needed to be dyed. And so it's going to go out. My husband just left. And so Freya's like, wait, what's happening? And that's why she wants to get up. Freya, stay here for right now. Okay. I'm almost done. And I just keep going through that way. Now, sometimes things get wonky. I have one poor person who has been waiting for a cut of Autumn Glow for, I can't tell you how long. And it's gone out now. So it's probably arrived to them by now. I dyed that piece of Autumn Glow probably 5 times. And there's certain colors I have that I have a much harder time with dye spots. Part of that's because the area where I dye is pretty cold because it's in my basement. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is, I'm not going to send out a piece of fabric that doesn't look the way I would expect my fabric to look if I had ordered it. So that poor person had to wait so long for their Autumn Glow fabric, but now they have it. So sometimes things happen that delay your order further, okay? But I'm working through the queue. I'm working through it as fast as I reasonably can. This is my full-time job and sometimes much more than my full-time job at this point, you know, running Oak Crown Studios. So I'm doing the best I can. If you have a specific question about your order, please feel free to message me and ask. I do try to answer my emails at least every couple of days. But just know I might not have an answer for you. Like if I look and I see that you happen to have one of the oldest orders, I might be able to be like, oh yeah, I have all these dyed. We're just waiting on this one and it's in the wash now. I might be like, oh, it's almost done. But like if you ordered 3 weeks ago, I have no idea when your order's gonna get sent out, right? I'm working through my queue as fast as I can. It is about a 3 to 4 month wait for most orders at this point, unless you get lucky. And I'm going to try to do a better job of this with this month's fabric of the month. Most of this month's fabric of the month has gone out. I had a few straggler pieces. I usually have to re-dye at least a few. Usually not because anything's wrong with what I've dyed. I just usually like mess some up. Like I dyed too much 32 count Lugana, not enough 28 or something. Anyway, if I catch that you have, so when people dye a lot of pieces or order several pieces at once, I don't dye all of those colors at once. Your order is going to slowly get filled over time, right? Because I might, you know, you might be that person who ordered Stone's Throw. You don't have the oldest order, but you ordered some Stone's Throw. So I've dyed yours when I dyed that other person's. And so that gets added to your pile. And then some other color that's on your order gets pulled up. And so I've dyed that one. So that like your order will slowly build. If I catch, especially if you're in my fabric of the month, and this is what happened this month. If you're in my fabric of the month and I catch that I have a partially fulfilled order for you, I'm going to start trying to send those out. I sent out, I know, one stack to somebody this week that was, I think, like 5 cuts of fabric. Her whole order wasn't ready, but most of it was. And so I just sent that with her fabric of the month so she can get most of it and get started with her project. So I am trying to catch those when I can. If you know you need a piece for a certain project or by a certain date, ask before you order. Please do not assume that you're going to get your fabric in just a few weeks. It has been a learning experience for me doing oak crown. It's clear that some people, maybe don't buy as much hand-dyed fabric as I used to. And so just aren't aware of kind of how that works and how it can take time to get those orders dyed and shipped out. But I do have, you know, a lot of orders. So it is taking time. So please be patient with me. But if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out. I just hate for people to, oh, sorry, 1 minute, my dog's poking the stand because she wants attention now that she's awake. Come here. Come here. Good girl. I hate for people to order thinking like, oh, I have a sale starting in 2 weeks and I'll grab this fabric and it'll be perfect for it. And then you're not getting your fabric in 2 weeks or maybe even in 2 months. And it's because I got a queue and I'm doing the best I can. But I want you to know that, you know, going in that filling your orders takes time. I think that's it. As soon as I turn off the camera, I'm going to think of like 50 things that I wanted to tell you guys. I know there's 2 projects I wanted to show you that I just forgot. That's okay. That's all right. I'll be back. I think my next video I'm going to film is a quilting video. I have to show some stuff I'm working on there. Anyway, thank you everybody. I just realized I'm sitting here like talking to my phone and my phone is on a stand and I just realized I didn't turn on my ring light. I've been sitting here talking for 1 hour and 13 minutes with a ring light in front of me that I never turned on. Way to go, Fiber Arts Amy. It's okay. Hopefully you guys can see everything, you know, well enough. And I hope you guys are enjoying your stitchy time. I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season. If you're celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day. Wait, nope. I'm going to mess them up. It's not Indigenous Peoples Day. Is it? Thanksgiving or what's the other name of the holiday? Okay, hold on. I have to Google. Indigenous Peoples Day is what we switched Columbus Day to, right? I'm going to Google because this isn't right of me to not remember. National Day of Mourning. That's what I wasn't coming up with. I hope you have either I hope you have a wonderful day, whether you we kind of tend to, our Thanksgiving conversations tend to like get pretty dark. My mother-in-law is usually with us and it's like, happy Thanksgiving. But then we always end up talking about the real first Thanksgiving and mistreatment of Native peoples. And I think my mother-in-law might be a little like, what kind of family did my son marry into? But anyway, I hope you have a good, everybody should have time off from work in the US. I hope you're able to find some relaxation. I hope you're able to find some joy. And I hope you're able to find some time for your stitching. And I'll be back here when I can find time to be. And hopefully I'll see you all you guys soon. Bye.